Hand cannon, handgun are both the names of the main characters into this video. But before knowing this weapon, at first we need to know this thing, 突火枪, which was mentioned in my last video. In the last video, the time point was arrived at the time of the creation of 突火枪, which a kind of compound weapon made from bamboo. At that point could be identified as the start of the black powder era. But this start is really just a start. Just like a person who wants to enter a house, he will have to open the door first, then go into the house. The 突火枪, including the fire length, is like the step of opening the door. The hand cannon is like the second step of the action entering the house. The hand cannon was a symbol that gunpowder has been the battle equipment of humans and the ancestor of modern firearms, finally born in the world. Not only AK-47, AR-15, but also the Type 94 naval gun on Yamato in World War II. If we're going to find the origin of those powerful guns, we would see the hand cannon in their firearms family tree. In the last video, our timeline was stopped on the rise of the Mongol Empire, so today's video will go on from that time point. Now, according to the archaeology study, the earliest cannon was found in Heilongjiang and was built in 1298 of the Yuan dynasty. The other name is Mongol Empire. In addition, there was a type of cannon also built by Mongol Empire, and this may be the weapon in the later part of the Mongol Empire era, and had a Chinese name, 碗口冲. Meanwhile, this cannon also was used by the Ming dynasty, just like this book, 兵录, documented this type of cannon, and is likely the big-sized version of a hand cannon. Because it was very big and heavy, if someone wanted to operate this cannon, he would have to use a wooden holder to fix and rest it. As we know, the Mongol Empire's troops were almost powerful in the world at that time, and their soldiers almost appeared in every place of Eurasia, from Mongolian Plateau to the South China Sea, from the land of East to the land of Holy Roman Empire in 1241. There were many cruel wars, and also it's because of this kind of bloody complications, the cannons that were created in the East, and those cannon gunsmiths were brought to the Middle East by the Mongolian army, and then eventually made their way to Europe. Into the 14th century, the streets of Mongolia gradually lost in Europe. They stopped in Ukraine, but for the people, the war didn't stop. The European study of gunpowder was deeper, and the earliest known use of gunpowder appeared in 1326. Then after 20 years, in 1346, English firstly used the gunpowder weapon in Europe at the Battle of Crecy, where the English used a cannon to defeat the French. Plus, in 1339, the word gun was used to describe a firearm in English for the first time. And meanwhile, in the 14th century, there was a kind of breech-loading gun that was created, but this will be another firearm story. In fact, there was an interesting thing that after firearms had a new home in Europe, it's likely they had another totally new branch of evolution. The hand cannon and the big-size cannon were very similar, but gradually the hand cannon had another new shape, and it isn't just a kind of lens with a small cannon head. Then, those hand cannons even added with a serpentine look. Now we know that it will evolve to be the trigger for the guns. Meanwhile, not only the trigger, in many later versions of hand cannon, there were added a flash pan on the barrel and a torch hole drilled through the side of the gun, instead of the hole made on the top of the gun. At this time, everything was likely ready for the next big evolution in the early part of the 16th century, just like the firearms in the war, Batalla de Pavia. Because at this time, the Matchlock mechanism was created finally, and this made the firearms more practical and easier to use for single soldiers. This movement also could be identified as a new firearm type. Gradually, firearms defeated the cold arms and became a new powerful military weapon. and it became a very important character in the age of discovery and the gold age of piracy. By the way, firearms developed to this step. There was an interesting point that the ignition devices were not only one type at this time. When the operator was ready to fire it, he could hold the hand cannon with one hand, and another hand held the ignition device. In addition, he could hold with two hands, and his assistant would help him to do the firing jobs with the ignition device. So how many kinds of the ignition devices appeared before the birth of Matchlock time? Those devices ranged from a piece of smoldering wood or coal, red arrow rod, fuse, or burning rope. If we come back to see the development of firearms, we can know that the burning rope ignition method was the final winner and finally evolved into the matchlock mechanism. Okay, this is today's video, and this video and the last video both are composed of the start of gunpowder time in human history. Until now, the video theme has likely drifted out of the way of ancient arms, but because this is the history and culture, in history we are always in the way of interaction and communication between many different groups of people, not only for Europeans, but also for Asians. When we could study and understand the origin point of a thing, it would restore better the sense of history and evolution for us. The origin point is the basics, so I believe that this is a very important part of history and even for the videos. Okay, hope you can like this video. Have a good day. See you next time.